So very happy to be amongst all of you. A very auspicious day today. The auspicious disappearance day of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. Very extraordinary day for all the ISKCON devotees. Hare Krishna. Jadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ki hoito, jivana bahita keshe. If Prabhupada wouldn't have been there, what would have happened to all of us? In fact, appearance day and disappearance day of the Acharya is very important for all of us because this helps us to count the blessings that we have received from the Acharya. It also helps us to understand what sacrifice our Acharya has done. And at the same time, it also helps us to understand how our Acharya personally has set a very wonderful example. Because when it comes to us, we have to understand through the life of Acharya how he did what he did. His achar, his vichar, his prachar. Actually, that is the learning for all of us. So all of us, we know Srila Prabhupada's preaching mode. But it's also very important for all of us to understand Prabhupada's mode of intense sadhana. Yes, very important. I've named this session as the silence before the revolution. So what was that Prabhupada doing in that silence? This is something that all of us have to comprehend, all of us have to go deeper. What was Prabhupada doing? And where was he? In the silence, where was he? In the year 1954, Srila Prabhupada retired from his family life. He took Vanaprastha. He was still in white clothes, doing various different activities. In the year 1956, he decided, let me go to Vṛndāvana. You can imagine that auspicious day where Srila Prabhupada started from Delhi and is going in a train to Agra, but he's going to stop at Mathura. He's going to get down there. See, this journey of Srila Prabhupada marks the beginning of Vrindavan getting flooded with devotees. Because today, in this month of Kartik, when we go to Vrindavan, it's flooded with devotees. The same Krishna Balram Mandir is flooded with devotees in the month of Kartik. And not just Kartik, nowadays I'm hearing that even off season, I mean no Janmashtami, no Radhashtami, no Kartik, even during that time, the entire Vrindavan is flooded. All glories to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. His journey to Vrindavan and his stay in Vrindavan did all that was necessary to attract all people from all over the world to this place, that Sri Vṛndāvana Dham. So when Prabhupada got down at Mathura station, he took a tanga and he started for Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada, he comes to a narrow street besides Yamuna at the Keshi Ghat. And there he stops at one place called Vamshi Gopalji Mandir, Vamshi Gopal Temple. So this Vamshi Gopal Temple is very special. So Prabhupada, he is such a wonderful personality, far-sighted personality. Now we are talking about 1956. From 1953 itself, Prabhupada was in touch with the Mahant of this temple. Prabhupada knew one day he is supposed to come. He had booked his room also at that time itself. He was in constant touch with the Mahant. And he knew that he has to go to this temple, Vamshi Gopal Temple. So on this auspicious day, he went there. And when he gets down from the tanga, the driver takes the luggage and Prabhupada is entering the door. And the Mahant of that place, which is a three-story building with 3 domes at the top, he welcomes Prabhupada because he knew Prabhupada very well. He welcomes Prabhupada. And then he escorts Prabhupada to the top floor, that is the rooftop. And on the terrace, there's only one room, one small room with 2 big windows. And also it is described that in front of Prabhupada's room, he was able to see that dome. And just below the dome was the beautiful deity of Radha Gopalji. Now, so wonderful. This entire scene is so wonderful. Because Prabhupada is going to start something very, very great right from this place. Right from this place. Prabhupada took his bath, he took prasad, he took some rest. So on that day, when he was taking rest, you can imagine we're talking about an old man, we're not talking about some young 20-year-old person. We're talking about someone who has crossed age of 55. So he's there in that place and he's taking rest. And suddenly he hears the ringing of the bells. The evening aarti is beginning. And Prabhupada goes down to take darshan of Gopalji. At that time itself, it was 350-year-old temple. And the speciality of the temple, Gopalji himself installed Radharani's deity. So now you can imagine the pastime that might have taken place. There's the only line that is given, that Gopalji himself installed Radharani's deity. So Gopalji is black, and his complexion, Radharani is golden. And they're standing there to bless everyone. And Srila Prabhupada, taking darshan of the Gopalji, he went again to the rooftop. The entire roof is his. He took his beads and started chanting on the roof. And after some time, he was back to his same thought process. What was that thought process all about? He was thinking how to distribute back to Godhead magazines. Because at that time, Prabhupada's entire goal was to write articles, back to Godhead articles, and distribute. So he was the one who was writing, he was the one who was proofreading, he was the one who would give it for printing, again get it back and do proofreading. And he was the one who would distribute personally. One-man army. Actually, publishing a book is not easy. After publishing one, I realized. So much to do in that, so much. At least now we have so many softwares. But during Prabhupada's time, he used to type. He has to type or he has to write and get it done. So only when I published one, then I got a huge respect for Srila Prabhupada. In fact, I would suggest every devotee should write at least one book and publish. Then we'll realize Prabhupada ne kya kiya tha. Now we just purchase and keep it, and then it's sealed only for a long time. Yes, to remove and to study. But then when it comes to writing a book and publishing, then we realize that what Prabhupada did. So look at this. Prabhupada is in Vṛndāvana, and Prabhupada is thinking how to expand preaching all over the world. This is the only thought process that is there. Srila Prabhupada, how to expand preaching all over the world. Sitting in that small temple of Radha Vamshi Gopal, there Prabhupada is thinking this. Then Prabhupada took rest in the evening. And he woke up in the middle of the night. Still people in Vṛndāvana, they have not woken up, but Prabhupada is awake. And what is Prabhupada doing? He started writing articles, back to Godhead articles. He's writing. And then later, when the sun rose, then he went to take bath. He took his bath and again started chanting Hare Krishna. In the entire stay of Vṛndāvana, one thing is very clear. Prabhupada's hand would be in his bead bag for a long, long time. Not like ours, when we don't finish our 16 rounds all the time, it is there. I'm not talking about that. Prabhupada would chant huge number of rounds. So the entire mood of Prabhupada in Vṛndāvana was to go deeper to broadcast wider. That was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And I was mesmerized to read this. So in the morning time, Prabhupada took some Back to Godhead magazines and he started out. In Vṛndāvana, he started out. He went to take darshan of Radharaman temple, and there, the young priest, whose name is given as Vishwambhar Goswami, Prabhupada gave Back to Godhead magazine to him. This was daily routine. Go to different temples around and then meet people, give Back to Godhead magazine. Maximum time of Prabhupada in Vṛndāvana was spent only on two things. One was writing and second was chanting. Again, it was chanting and then writing. That was the only thing. Prabhupada was immersed completely. One devotee in his interview, Padmalochan Goswami, he says that this was before accepting sannyas. Prabhupada would print Back to God magazine in Delhi. He would distribute it there, get some to Vṛndāvana, he distributed here. This was very fascinating to hear from Padmalochan Goswami, which is documented in one of the books by Prabhupada's disciples. He says that his father would tell him that Abhay Charan is coming, Abhay Charan is coming. And how will they get to know that Abhay Charan is coming? Because Abhay Charan, at that time, he had a cycle. So he would be paddling the cycle and he was coming. Now the cycle was so old that it would make a lot of noise. And when that noise would come at that time, this person's father would say that Abhay Charan has come, and they will go to the gate with some Lakshmi in the hand. And they would take the Back to God magazine and give Lakshmi. Can you imagine? Srila Prabhupada paddling the cycle and then he's going and distributing Back to God magazine around. And in the evening time, Prabhupada would go chanting on his beats, taking darshan of Jamuna. And there are many sadhus, they would greet Prabhupada. Let's call him as Abhay Charan now. Yes. Would greet Abhay Charan. And they would say, Jai Radhe! And Prabhupada would say, Hare Krishna. So from that side, Jai Radhe, and from this side, Prabhupada is greeting them, Hare Krishna. One thing is very clear, Prabhupada's mood was clear. Right from start. It's not that only after establishing ISKCON, you wanted to create some identity, therefore you chant Hare Krishna. No, he was very clear. He was very clear of what activities to be done. In fact, for your information, before coming to Vṛndāvana, already he had set up that league of devotees. Yes. And in that league of devotees, whatever principles are given for ISKCON, same things were given at that time. So Prabhupada is such a visionary that he knew in future when he's going to establish the international society, what principles to be followed. Same principles. His mood was same, that the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to be distributed. Chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the first thing, is the priority. His faith in the chanting of the holy names, same. In fact, increased more and more and more. And here Prabhupada is greeting everyone, Hare Krishna. Now see, Prabhupada is there in Vṛndāvana. But in Vṛndāvana, no printing activity happens. He has to go to Delhi. But the unfortunate part was, from Vṛndāvana, he is going to Delhi, but then there he has no place to stay. So early morning he leaves there to Delhi, he does his various activities of BTG, Back to God magazine, and guess what? In the evening he travels back. So every day, if I'm not wrong, it takes some 3 hours to go, 3 hours to come back. So there was one person, Mr. Gupta. So that person would host various sadhus, and Prabhupada was in touch with him. So Prabhupada had this mode that in future, when I would go to Vṛndāvana, so there I'd stay. So when I would go to Delhi from Vṛndāvana, I'll stay at this person's place. But unfortunately, what happened is, another sadhu, before Prabhupada, he came there and took that room. Now Prabhupada does not have any place. It is also described, Prabhupada's needs were very few. Even for that expense, Prabhupada didn't have Lakshmi. Prabhupada didn't have money. He was struggling. It was difficult to manage. See what all things he has to do. He has to firstly cover the expense of traveling. Vṛndāvana to Delhi, back to Vṛndāvana. He has to cover the expense of printing. He has to cover the expense of mailing it to different people. Because Prabhupada would write Back to God magazine, distribute, but at the same time, he would send it via post. It was not very difficult for him to distribute the Back to God magazine, but the difficulty was writing, editing, selling, soliciting donations. This was the difficulty that Prabhupada was having. The printer, the person who was owning the printing shop, Mr. Jain, he would wonder, why is this old man working so hard? What is the need? How will Mr. Jain understand what is in the heart of Abhay Charan? How will he understand that? 12th BTG was published. This was November 20, 1956. And after that, there is no money. Prabhupada does not have any money. Abhay Charan has no money. Again, he goes back to Vṛndāvana. He writes. He comes back. But Mr. Jain, he just raises hands. Obviously not to chant Hare Krishna, but to say that I cannot print anymore. Just out of friendship, how long can I keep printing? But one fascinating thing which I read, Abhay Charan went back to Vṛndāvana and he still continued writing with no goal of publishing. I was wondering that when it comes to a devotee, a great devotee like Srila Prabhupada, a Shuddha Bhakta like Srila Prabhupada, they'll continue their service come what may. They're saying now there is no question, there's no money, there's no question of publishing the BTG, but still he's continuing to write. Therefore, one thing is very clear, that doesn't matter what is the situation, our services should continue. This is the inspiring thing that we learn from the Acharya. The result is there, not there, doesn't matter. I will do my service. My service is to write, I'll write. But why are you writing? Just to please Lord Sri Krishna. Why are you doing this service? Even when there is no result, just to please Sri Krishna. Many times it happens that when devotees do some preaching endeavors and there's no result, they start thinking, what's the point of preaching? What's the need? Etc., etc. But the point is this, that I am preaching to purify myself and to glorify Krishna. And in the course of my purification and glorification of Krishna, if someone else also becomes a devotee, great. That's great. But the main goal is this, that is, I want to purify myself and I want to glorify Krishna. I want to satisfy Krishna. That's the goal of all our endeavors, all our services. And here we see that in Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada initiated one person during his preaching in Jhansi. He was the first disciple of Prabhupada and his name was, yes, Prabhakar, uske aage Acharya Prabhakar. So Acharya Prabhakar, he was very interested to assist Prabhupada in various preaching activities. So he called Prabhupada to come to Mumbai. He said, please come to Mumbai, let's meet governor. I've already booked an appointment, please come. So Prabhupada traveled all the way from Vṛndāvana to Mumbai. And then Prabhupada did a lot of things there, meetings after meetings, discourses after discourses. But again, there was no substantial thing that he could achieve. He came back to Vṛndāvana. And then in Vṛndāvana, again, he's back to his schedule. And after some time, he went to Kanpur to preach. He goes there, he does various different activities of preaching. And again, he's back to Vṛndāvana. And from Vṛndāvana, again, he goes back to Mumbai. So the Mahant of the Gopalji temple, he was surprised that old people come to Vṛndāvana to settle in Vṛndāvana, and this man, why is he traveling so much? What is the need? Why is this Abhay Charan Babu traveling so much? But how will this Mahant understand what is this revolutionary Acharya doing in this great silence of Vṛndāvana? Yes, how will he understand? Prabhupada's ambition was very big, very big. I was astonished to read this. Prabhupada's mode was get large donations, make large printing, and print a lot of Back to God magazine and send it across the world. And Prabhupada had a number in his mind when it comes to number of countries. And the number was 50 countries. He wanted to send Back to God magazine to 50 countries. And Prabhupada had a plan. Hear this plan. So Prabhupada had already assigned quotas कि कहाँ कौन से country में कितना BTG जाएगा. America, he decided I'll send 10,000 copies. Argentina, 500 copies. Belgium, 500. Brazil, 500. Burma, 1,000. Canada, 500. Chile, 500. China, 10,000. Russia, 10,000. England, 10,000. ये था प्रभुपाद का मूड. So every fortnightly magazine this is. And Prabhupada wanted to distribute like this. But guess what? No donations. All these plans remained as it is. Prabhupada couldn't execute this plan. In Mumbai, things didn't work. He's just going around. He's already 62 now. He came back to Vṛndāvana again. Prabhupada was understanding one thing very clearly. Now, current situation is a great preparation, which has to be done very nicely for that great revolution which is going to come in future. So Prabhupada, despite of his advanced age, and he's not able to do much substantial, but still he was very confident. This is the greatness of a pure devotee. पैसा नहीं है, कुछ हो नहीं रहा है प्रचार, but still the person has so much of confidence. Here comes the question, how pure devotees, they get so much of confidence even when nothing is working proper? And the answer is, their confidence is not in themselves. Their confidence is in Krishna. Their confidence is in the parampara. Their confidence is in their guru. And Prabhupada had a great confidence in Krishna, great confidence in the entire parampara. Yes. And with that confidence, Prabhupada was just moving on and on and on. He lived very, very frugally in Vṛndāvana. He hardly had any money, and with whatever money he had, he would purchase some things, for his maintenance. But Prabhupada was so meticulous even at that time. Whatever he would purchase, he would maintain an entire book. So this much money, I purchased this. Okay, this month, this much expense. This month, this much expense. Kuch hai nahi zyada expense. But Prabhupada is so meticulous. A person with great managerial skills is doing all these wonderful things. Simple living and high thinking was the principle which Prabhupada was following. Simple living and high thinking. In fact, our Acharya is showing it to all of us that simple living and always high thinking, that is thinking about Krishna and the mission, is most important. But if the living is high and thinking is simple, we'll be stuck in the cycle of birth and death forever. Unfortunately, many people are doing this in this world. But when it comes to devotees, we have to make sure that our living goes simple and simple and simple. Finally, the only thing that the devotee is expected to do is minimum time spent in one's bodily maintenance, maximum time spent in expansion of the mission, going deeper in Krishna consciousness. This is what is expected from all of us as devotees. And look at this. Our Acharya just didn't speak. He has exemplified by his own behavior. He has exemplified by his own achar. So during these days, in his Vanaprastha time, Prabhupada wrote a bhajan that's called as Vṛndāvana bhajan. Very deep. There are 27 parts, and each part has got 4 verses. This is Vṛndāvana bhajan. So 27 into 4 number of verses. And in this bhajan, firstly, Prabhupada has written elaborately on futility of family life. How temporary is family life? I think all grihasthas should study this section. It's important, especially to for those who are transitioning from grihastha life to vanaprastha life. This is very important, this section. And look at this, Prabhupada's clarity. Obviously, when he established ISKCON, when he started giving classes, he would establish bhakti is the topmost yoga system. So it was not only after establishing ISKCON, even now at the age of 62, during his Vanaprastha time, Prabhupada has great clarity that how Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and Karma Yoga are ineffective. Bhakti Yoga is topmost. That also is established in this bhajan. It's not some sentimental bhajan where he is glorifying, he's just talking about himself. He's establishing philosophy. And in that bhajan, he also establishes What is the true position of a Vaishnav? Very wonderful section again. And in that section, now imagine he's sitting in Vṛndāvana, in this temple of Gopalji, Vamshi Gopal temple. He's sitting in solitary place, but he's writing the importance of preaching over solitary bhajan, nirjan bhajan. So even at that time, Prabhupada has this great vision. It's not just about sitting at one place and doing bhajan, one has to preach. He's very clear about this. Sitting in the same place, in the same temple, busy writing. It was the day of disappearance. It was the disappearance day of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it is described that Prabhupada was feeling so much of separation from Saraswati Thakur that day. He was shedding tears. And at the same time, he was remembering the words of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Pran ache jar, se hetu prachar. A dead man cannot preach. Mara hua aadmi prachar nahi kar sakta. But if you have life in the body, that symptom of life is preaching. If someone is preaching, then you can say, he is alive. If someone is not preaching, he is dead. This person is dead. So he's remembering all this. He was preparing his mood for the great preaching. So one day, when Prabhupada was sitting in this temple of, what is the name of temple? Vamshi Gopal. He's sitting in that temple. And there, one devotee from Radha Damodar temple came. Gaura Chanda Goswami. He came. So he was heading the temple at that time. He went to Abhay Charan and he said, why don't you shift to Radha Damodar temple? That's the hub. Jiva Goswami stayed there. Rupa Goswami stayed there. And you know what? All the Goswamis would come to Radha Damodar temple for meetings. And there are so many wonderful deities there. So this devotee said, why don't you come? So 1959, Prabhupada shifted to Radha Damodar temple. Not to the same room which all of us know. He shifted to another place which is on the another floor. But at the same time, some biographies also say that Prabhupada still stayed in Vamshi Gopal temple and he was waiting for the renovation of that room to happen. But in either case, Prabhupada didn't stay in that room which all of us are aware of. Now see, Prabhupada was writing this magazine, articles after articles. But then, when did he start writing the book? It's very important to note. Who was that great soul who told Prabhupada कि आपको book लिखना चाहिए? ये newspaper का काम बंद कर दो, ये magazine का काम बंद कर दो. Who was that? Who was that great Mahatma? And you know who was that? It were two people. One was a librarian, a simple librarian. And second person was an Indian army officer. They were not some Babaji, or they were not some great bhaktas. They were the ones who were reading Prabhupada's BTG and they were very inspired. And when they met Prabhupada, they just suggested, see, when you're writing this magazine, it is temporary. Because every 15 days you're going to publish one magazine. So people would read and throw. But if you write book, that will remain permanent. So why don't you write a book? And at that time, Prabhupada, he took this as an instruction from those two people, but instruction of whom? Not of those two, instruction of his own spiritual master. And he was thinking, my spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, through them, he's inspiring me to write book. And this is needed for preaching. So 1959 is the time when Prabhupada started writing book. He started writing Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. He started writing this in Delhi. Now see, when Prabhupada was staying in Vṛndāvana, There were many, many wonderful realizations and inspirations that Prabhupada would get. One was in the form of a dream. So Prabhupada was resting at night. He got a dream. And in that dream, he saw the same thing what he saw when he was a grahastha. Because when he was a grahastha, same dream had come. And again this dream came. And in this dream, His divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared. Tall personality with saffron robes, holding sannyas danda in the hand. And he was calling Abhay Charan, come, come. And he was pointing towards taking sannyas. Abhay Charan was seeing this, that my spiritual master is asking me to take sannyas. But in great wonder, he woke up. He woke up and then he was thinking, because during Grahastha time when he got this dream, at that time he was very fearful. Guru Maharaj me sannyas lene bol rahe. He was very fearful. Now that same dream repeated. But now he's in Vanaprastha. He's already given up his family life. He's there in Vṛndāvana. He's thinking about preaching. And for your information, in the Vedic times, if someone has to preach, then that person should take sannyas. This was the etiquette. And this is what was followed by all our acharyas in the past. They all took sannyas for preaching. And here, this was the Vedic standard that was set. And Prabhupada or Abhay Charan at that time could make out that my Guru Maharaj is giving me an indication that now is the time for sannyas and this is needed actually to accomplish the mission. Before it was not the right time, but now is the right time. Take sannyas. And Prabhupada started thinking that maybe this is the first step for preaching to English people in the West. And Prabhupada decided, okay, let me go ahead now. See, it's not an easy thing to take sannyas. For a brahmachari to take sannyas may not be that great difficulty. But then for a grahastha, living in grahastha ashram and then vanaprastha and then sannyas, oh, that's a very big thing, very big thing. And here, Abhay Charan, he thought, let me go to Kolkata and talk to my senior sannyasi godbrother, whose name is Tirtha Maharaj. He went to Tirtha Maharaj, who was in Chaitanya Math. That was the headquarters of Saraswati Thakur at that time. And Abhay Charan had two things. One is, he wanted to take sannyas, and second, he wanted someone to publish his books because he's writing his book now. But then when he proposed this to Tirtha Maharaj, not a very good response came from the other side. Tirtha Maharaj said that the temple authorities will decide that when you should take sannyas and when your books will be published. Our goal as of now is we want to publish Vedanta Sutra, we want to publish various other books of Goswamis. After that, if we have funds, then we'll publish your book. First, you join our temple. After that, we will see. Because at that time, after the departure of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it so happened that Gaudiya Math was into pieces. And one piece was this. And therefore, he was asking, why don't you come and join our Math first? Then after that, we will see. But then Abhay Charan, he felt there is no problem in joining the Math. But then I don't see any scope of printing my books. And there is no scope of I getting some funds to go to West. Then Prabhupada said, there is no point of going here. Then Prabhupada went to another personality. Now this was Keshavji Maharaj in Mathura. He went to Mathura's Gaudiya Math. There he approached Keshav Maharaj. And he asked, what should I do? And Keshav Maharaj was very emphatic. Keshav Maharaj, he said, Bhaktivedanta Prabhu, Prabhupada had already got this title. Bhaktivedanta Prabhu, you should do it. You should do it. You should do it. Means you should take sannyas. And on an auspicious day, September 17, 1959, Abhay Charan or Bhaktivedanta Prabhu was awarded sannyas. And now he was no more Abhay Charan or Bhaktivedanta Prabhu. Now he was Abhay Charanaravindha Bhaktivedanta Swami. Holding danda and posing for the photo. If you go to Radha Damodar Mandir, there you will see this photo. Anyways, now you need not go, you can just Google it, you'll find it. So where Muni Maharaj is standing, and Prabhupada is standing, and Keshav Maharaj is sitting on the chair, and Prabhupada is posing for the photo. That's the photo of Prabhupada's life, the sannyas photo. Now see, after that, we have to mark the milestones in the life of Prabhupada. Late 1960, he published the first book. Any guess which book that was? Not Bhagavatam for sure. First book of Prabhupada? First book of Prabhupada? Easy Journey to Other Planets. Easy Journey to Other Planets. That's the first book, which Prabhupada published. This was in late 1960. Then 1962 July. So we started with 1956. Then we spoke 1959. Prabhupada started writing Bhagavatam, and then also he accepted sannyas. And now we're talking about, in 1960 he published a book, small book. It's very small. People are very inspired to take that book because they are sure that they'll be able to read. Very small. Easy Journey to Other Planets. 1962 July is a very important time, because this is the time when Prabhupada moved from that upper stair room to the ground floor room. That room, which all of us go, take darshan, pay our obeisance and say, ISKCON began here. That room. So he shifted there. So one room where he would sit and write, and just opposite room where he would cook. So these are the two rooms. So at that time. And now see, sitting in that room, Prabhupada was not enjoying. Okay, chalo, good, Goswami was staying here. Rupa Goswami Samadhi is here. Jiva Goswami Samadhi here. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Samadhi is there. Bhugarbha Goswami Samadhi is there. My Guru Maharaj Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Pushpa Samadhi is there. Okay, now I am here under the shelter of these people, let me relax. Prabhupada, in the middle of the night, every day he would go on writing the purports, Bhakti Vedanta purports to Srimad Bhagavatam first canto. He would all the time meditate on this. And those purports of first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see when you read, you will see big purports. And those purports are nothing but Prabhupada's heart poured into those pages, sitting in Radha Damodar Mandir, the power-packed place in Vṛndāvana. Those are very, very deep purports. Those are not ordinary. Prabhupada is sitting there, a visionary, having a great vision. He is writing those purports. Therefore, first canto is a very, very important canto for all of us. In fact, all the 12 cantos are very important. First canto with all these wonderful purports are very, very important. Yes. And here we see that in September 1962, so July, August, September. So September, Prabhupada published the first part of first canto. That's very easy. I'm sitting here and I'm saying Prabhupada published the first canto or first part of the first canto. But for your information, it was a huge task. There's no Lakshmi. Prabhupada has to go door to door. He went to different people. And finally, when he got some Lakshmi, he went to the hub of printing in Delhi. And then there, he would personally purchase paper. Regarding paper, this also I realized while publishing in the book, which we compiled. So different types of paper, firstly. The different qualities of paper, the different thickness of paper. And sometimes papers are not available. For our book also, we wanted a particular thickness of the paper. But then we couldn't get that. We got a little higher thickness. Yes. So the printer was telling me that this paper is not available. So this paper is available. What should we do? I said, go ahead. I don't know anything about paper. Go ahead. But Prabhupada had all the knowledge of which paper, what thickness, etc. Prabhupada would personally go purchase paper. And then he would go and give it to the printing shop. He personally designed the dust cover. Dust cover means the cover that we see, outside cover. He personally designed that cover. When he would get the first copy printed, Bhagavatam first part, he himself read, proofread. Again he would go back, give the corrections, again get it back. Like this he got the first part of the first canto published, September. And then continuing the same struggle for funds, struggle for getting paper, single-handedly going to the printing press, going to his place in Chippivada in Delhi, going to Vṛndāvana, sitting there writing, traveling back to Delhi, and so on and so forth. With the same cycle, in 1963 December, Prabhupada published part 2 of first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the same cycle, 1964 December, he published the third part of first canto. And now Prabhupada has got all the 3 parts ready. Now see, when Prabhupada was staying in Radha Damodar Mandir, it's very, very mesmerizing and very inspiring to hear what was that Prabhupada doing staying in Radha Damodar Mandir. Very, very mesmerizing to hear. Yesterday and today, together, I've spent 5 hours reading about Prabhupada's stay in Vrindavan. I was very, very much curious, kya kiye Prabhupada Vrindavan? Because we normally know that Prabhupada was there in Vrindavan writing. But apart from that, what he did? What was his daily schedule? How was he meeting? Or what were the different activities which he was doing when he would meet Brajavasis, the Mahants of different temples? So Prabhupada's schedule was this, as told by Nirmal Chandra Goswami, one of the Goswamis there. Prabhupada would get up in the morning at 1 a.m. It was not only after ISKCON got established. Same schedule before also. Morning 1 a.m. he would get up. And he would start pouring Bhaktivedanta purports to Srimad Bhagavatam. We're discussing about first canto Bhagavatam. And then after working for few hours, sort of 1 o'clock to a certain number of hours, then he would sit and chant his japa and start chanting Hare Krishna. Where he would sit and chant his japa, sometimes he would sit in the kitchen and looking at Rupa Goswami Samadhi. Sometimes go and sit in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi and chant. In this way, Prabhupada would sit and chant. And at times, Prabhupada would sit in his room only, where he would translate the books. And from there, looking at the deities in the altar, he would chant. From his room, there's one big deity called Vṛndāvana Chandra. So that deity he would see and he would continue his chanting. This is early in the morning. And then Prabhupada, it is described that Prabhupada would go to Yamuna and take bath. Only in summers or winters also? And the answer is winters also. Sochiye, Vrindavan ka winter. So Prabhupada would go and take bath. Almost every day, this was the thing, he would go and take bath. After taking bath, he would come and sit in his room in the kitchen. And I was very amazed to read this. Very carefully, firstly, he would look at Rupa Goswami Samadhi, offering his prayers. And very carefully, sitting there in that place, he would apply tilak onto his body, different parts of the body. Very carefully. And then he would chant his mantras. Then he would go to the courtyard of Radha Damodar Mandir. Then he would play mridanga for Mangalarti. And then after that, again, he would sit in his room and chant various bhajans. And one of the bhajan which Nirmal Chandra Goswami remembers, he says that I have personally heard A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami singing Rupa Manjari Pada, that bhajan. Rupa Manjari Pada. And what next? Yaramora Sampada. It goes on, very beautiful. Where that bhajan says that how Rupa Goswami's lotus feet are my life and soul. And Prabhupada is singing this, sitting in that temple where Rupa Goswami Samadhi is there. Wow. And after this, Prabhupada would sit and chant more on his beats. Absorbed completely. And then Prabhupada would go to take darshan in the same temple of different samadhis. Specifically, every day Prabhupada would do this. He would go to Rupa Goswami Samadhi, take darshan, pay obeisance. He would go to Jiva Goswami Samadhi, take darshan, pay obeisance. Then he would go to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Samadhi and then go and pay obeisance. Then finally he would go to Pushpa Samadhi of his spiritual master, take darshan, pay obeisance. So this was his everyday schedule, every day. Then at around 10 a.m., Prabhupada would go out to take darshan of various other temples in Vṛndāvana. And then on the way, he'll purchase some vegetables and he'll come. Almost around 11, Prabhupada is there back to his room. And Prabhupada would cook. Now, he did not have some nice sophisticated cooking materials there. But whatever little he had a kerosene stove, he had a 3-tire cooker where he cooked rice, dal, potato, chapatis, and sometimes sabji also. How many times did Prabhupada eat when he was in Vṛndāvana? Only once, in the noon. Whatever he would cook, he would eat only once. And in the evening, he'll take little milk. That's it. This was Prabhupada's diet, austerity. This was great tapasya of Srila Prabhupada. Once he would take. He would take once. And sometimes when he was not able to cook due to his busy schedule, at that time he would accept. See, we're talking about Radha Damodar Mandir. We have so many deities there. So every day you can imagine the bhoga that is offered will be huge. But still Prabhupada would not take from there every day. He would cook himself and he would offer to the photos that he had. But then once in a while, he'd accept prasad from Radha Damodar temple. Once in a while, of the deities. And after cooking, Prabhupada would sit in the kitchen, in that same place where he would cook. Looking at the Rupa Goswami Samadhi very intensely, he would honor prasad. Now, I don't know if we can understand what was actually Prabhupada's mood when he was looking at Rupa Goswami Samadhi. But it was very, very intense, as told by various devotees who observed Prabhupada. And after taking lunch, Prabhupada would rest for some time. That is also documented. You know how much time? 15 minutes. Prabhupada would rest for 15 minutes. And again, he'll start writing. Sometimes he would have a different schedule where if some people have come, he'll give pravachan. He'll speak from scriptures. And sometimes in the evening, instead of going in the morning, sometimes in the evening he'll go out for taking darshan of Madan Mohan, Govind and Gopinath temples. Many people, they tell this in the interviews, that Prabhupada slept max for 5 hours, mostly 2 or 3 hours. Mostly, this was the thing. And it's also described that most of the time Prabhupada would spend time thinking about Bhagavatam verses and the translation and purports and all that. This was maximum thought process, maximum time he would spend thinking about. This was a topic. And sometimes, specifically it is given as Ekadashi and Purnima, he would walk alone doing Vṛndāvana Parikrama. You can imagine Prabhupada going around doing Vṛndāvana Parikrama alone. But Prabhupada, when he established ISKCON, when he came back, there's no question of being alone. Whenever he was there, so many people were there around. So many people, all the time. Yes. And Prabhupada was always fond of the kids, Vrajvasi kids. When the kids would come, the Vrajvasi kids, the boys and girls, it is described that Prabhupada would call them. And Prabhupada would have a jar of sweets, not for himself, but to distribute it to these Vrajvasi kids. And sometimes he would give some little Lakshmi also to them. Pai, this is the unit, pai. He would give one pai to each. Now I was wondering, ek pai mein kya milega? It seems you would get, at that time the kids would buy rabadi and eat with that one pai. So Prabhupada would do this. He was very, very fond of these kids. And it is also described that, see, Prabhupada is staying in a temple where so many deities are there, so many samadhis are there. So Rupa Goswami's appearance day, disappearance day. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's appearance day, disappearance day, Jiva Goswami's appearance day, disappearance day, the deity installation or Brahmotsava, and so on and so forth. Now, one thing that we have to understand here is, even when there's a huge festival and so many people came there, still Prabhupada would not go around socializing with those people. He would go, take darshan, take little prasad and get back to work. One devotee, his name is Hridayanand Babaji Maharaj, whose house is just besides the temple, Radha Damodar temple. So he told a very, very wonderful pastime. He said that every day at night, Babaji Maharaj, from his own house, he would hear crying sounds. He would hear crying sounds. Now, in these crying sounds, he was not understanding who is that who is crying in the middle of the night. So it was the day of Purnima, and again he heard the same crying sound. So he went to the top of his own building, his own house. From the terrace, he was able to see the courtyard of Radha Damodar Mandir. And there he saw this A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami holding a broom in the hand, bending down and cleaning that place in the middle of the night around 1 o'clock and crying. Hey Rupa Goswami, hey Jiva Goswami, oh my dear Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, my Gurudev, please give me strength to fulfill your orders. Please give me strength. Now this devotee, Hridayanand Babaji Maharaj, he shares his realization that this was the case every day. And only after this incident he could understand that it was this person who was crying every day. This is very deep. Every day begging and crying, doing some service, brooming the floor. Same Acharya, who is the savior of the whole world, was doing this. Another devotee, Gopal Chandra Ghosh, he shares that once Prabhupada visited once he visited Sriman Gopal Chandra Ghosh, and he was talking to Bhaktivedanta Swami, and there he shares, that day I got to hear some secrets of bhajan of Bhaktivedanta Swami. So he went early. This was winter time. He went early in the morning. He saw Prabhupada was sitting and chanting. Very deep. And continuously tears were flowing from his eyes. So he went and he asked Prabhupada about some things. And in the discussion, Prabhupada revealed something very transcendental. Prabhupada said that last night I saw 3 beautiful persons. One was very, very effulgent, very young, and he was wearing only kopin. And there were beads on his neck and he was chanting on those beads. Next, I saw a little older person than him. He was also wearing only kopin and he was chanting, having beautiful lotus eyes. And I saw the youngest among the 3, and he was also very, very effulgent. So this person asked, who are they? And looks like Prabhupada said, it was Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Jiva Goswami. So he asked, it seems, so what did they tell you? And Prabhupada said that they gave me their mercy and guidance about preaching. This person wanted to know more. What else? And Prabhupada didn't speak after that. He continued chanting. The silence before the revolution is a great silence. Very deep. Very deep. Yes. And see, Prabhupada, when he would speak, when he would give discourses sitting in the veranda of Radha Damodar Mandir, just outside his room, it is described many scholarly people would come at that time. Even at that time. Many great Babajis, many great scholars, they would come and sit and hear. This is Prabhupada's scholarly mood even at that time. Scholarly discourses even at that time. Prabhupada would go to one milkman to get milk every day. His son Shriman Kishan Lal Sharma Pandit, he says in one interview, Prabhupada would not talk very much. Most of the time he was seen studying books. And also, when he stayed in the room, he did not talk to people, except in the evenings when he would come to the veranda. Most of the time he would close his door, do his bhajan in the room, chant Hare Krishna, write books. And everyone around in the neighborhood, they knew the greatness of this great personality. Even when there was nothing known about this person, still people would respect him from the core of their heart, understanding how great sadhu he is, such a great sadhu is. A personality, Hridayanand Babaji Maharaj, the same person who looked from the rooftop to know who is the one who is crying, he shares that sometimes Swamiji would allow me to do some seva, wash clothes, clean his room and all that. So one day, he got an opportunity to clean the room. So he took the broomstick, he started cleaning. And there was cobweb there at one place, in one corner. And then taking the broom, he started cleaning that cobweb. So when he removed the cobweb, there were some spiders who fell down and they started walking. And that was the same time when Prabhupada also entered. So Prabhupada saw spiders, Prabhupada saw Hridayanand Babaji. He saw both of them. And at that time, Prabhupada, little angry, he asked Hridayanand Babaji, why did you disturb them? It's not just about staying in Vṛndāvana. It's about understanding that every entity is a Vrajavasi. And only a Vrajavasi like Prabhupada can understand this. And he said, why did you disturb them? And then he personally told him, Hridayanand Babaji Maharaj, that all these are Dhamvasis. Never disturb them. Never. They are all old timers. We are newcomers. We are newcomers. They are all old timers. They are all Vrajavasis. And this Babaji Maharaj, he says that after that, I never disturbed any spider, any insect in Vṛndāvana. So this milkman who would come to give milk, or I should put it as the milkman from whom Prabhupada would go and get milk as Madhukari. Sometimes when Prabhupada would not go there, so his father would go and deliver the milk. And he was pretty young. We're talking about Kishan Lal Sharma. He's pretty young. So he would get milk and give it to Prabhupada. So one day when he came, he was waiting outside and he was calling for Swamiji. But then there was no response from inside. The door was a little bit open. He opened and he saw that Prabhupada was deeply chanting the holy names on his beads. He was so deep and so absorbed that he was not aware of what's happening around in this world. He was not aware of who has come. And Kishan Lal Sharma, he shares that Prabhupada was profusely shedding tears and he was crying. And he was chanting. So at that time, he observed, Kishan Lal Sharma, he observed that there was one scorpion there. And that was coming close to Prabhupada. And he started making some noise, some sound. He was tapping. So that Prabhupada opens his eyes and he sees. But then he was so absorbed, he was not seeing. So finally, when the scorpion came very close to Prabhupada, so at that time he loudly shouted, Prabhu, there is a scorpion. So at that time, Prabhupada opened his eyes filled with tears. And Kishan Lal Sharma, he says, the way Prabhupada looked at me was very deep and penetrating. And then he looked at the scorpion and he said something very wonderful. No, please don't worry. Please don't worry about it. Don't disturb the scorpion. Even that is a devotee. This is Prabhupada's stay in Vṛndāvana. And see, Prabhupada's faith in chanting the holy names was undeterred, always same. He was telling this to one person, his name is Dr. Sri Pran Gopal Acharya. Whenever they would meet, Prabhupada would speak about the holy name and he would say, Krishna Nam is the greatest power in the entire creation. And this mantra, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is the most powerful mantra. And this can change anyone's life. See, this is the faith with which Prabhupada went to West. This is the faith that preachers should have. That if this holy name is chanted, surely this person's life will be transformed. Therefore, let him chant the holy name, let me preach. Prabhupada had that conviction, he had that faith. And therefore, when he gave Mahamantra to the hippies were able to accept, practice, and transform themselves. Because of this faith, because of this conviction. And therefore, whenever Prabhupada would meet this person, he would ask, are you chanting? Are you chanting? So we preachers are also in parampara. Whenever we meet people, we ask, are you chanting? How many rounds? Yes. Another personality, Chaitanya Dev Goswami, he says, he's a sevak from Radha Raman temple. So he shares that one day he and Prabhupada went to Govardhan Parikrama. Not exactly Parikrama, to take darshan of various temples. They went to Manasi Ganga. And there Prabhupada was sharing the pastime of Manasi Ganga with this person. And this person said, when Prabhupada was speaking about the pastime, he was choked. He was in tears, but still he was not shedding tears. He was in public. He was not shedding tears. He immediately took his beads and started chanting. And after some time, when Prabhupada was back, to his normal state, he started speaking some other topic. Yes. Look at this, how Acharya is setting an example by his Achar. In the room, he's shedding tears, calling out to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Guru Maharaj, Krishna. But then when he's in public, there's no question of ecstatic symptoms. Krishnadas Babaji, he shares a very wonderful incident. Prabhupada had already completed the 3 parts of the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is ready. Prabhupada is ready to go to West. Yes. Now, one point to note, Prabhupada wanted to seek blessings from all the devotees. There was one place where all the writers would meet, and that is Vana Maharaj College. If I'm not wrong, this is Bon Maharaj College. Yes. So all these people and Krishnadas Babaji would also come there. So one day Prabhupada was very happy. He came with his Bhagavatam, 3 parts. And at that time, in great excitement, he was sharing that these are the 3 books. And he explained the entire group that how he has printed the last part and now he's ready to go to West. At that time, formally, in very, very sweet words, see what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said that, please bless these books. These books are going to travel across the ocean to the West. So all these people who were there, so they were very happy. So Prabhupada passed those 3 books, which were like bricks, because the color was that of bricks. They all took the books in their hands and they prayed and they gave it back to Prabhupada. After that, immediately Prabhupada said something very wonderful and remarkable. In very deep, serious voice, Prabhupada said, now these books have received the blessings of all of you, but still they'll not be able to cross the ocean by themselves. Someone would have to take them. Someone would have to popularize these books and distribute them properly to the public. So I'm humbly requesting all of you with folded palms, please bless that person also who is going to take these books or accompany these books and preach on their behalf. All the people sitting there, they were mesmerized with the humility of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada's mood was that Bhagavatam is going to West. I am accompanying Bhagavatam. This is next level. The same milkman, Kishan Lal Sharma, he shares that Prabhupada was not seen for many days in that place, in his Bhajan Kutir in the Radha Damodar temple. After a long time, after inquiring, he got to know, Kishan Lal Sharma got to know, Prabhupada has gone to West. It means Prabhupada didn't make noise that I'm going to West. He didn't make noise saying, see, I'll be going to West, I'll be going here, I'll be going there, prachar karne ja raha hu. He didn't make noise. He just left. He just left. So that is a remarkable day. That is August 13, 1965. When Prabhupada boarded Jaladuta and he left. He left for the West. 1967, Prabhupada returns back to Radha Damodar temple. He comes back for a treatment because that was the time. Because 1965 he established ISKCON. 1967 he fell ill. Greatly. Yeah, he was ill. He came back for treatment at that time. But 1971 is a very wonderful time because Prabhupada came from West. Because after treatment he went back, he came from West to Vṛndāvana with 40 disciples. And that was a great ecstasy for Prabhupada. Sitting in Radha Damodar temple, he was explaining various different wonderful things. And he was speaking on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is still recorded. It is there for all of us. Those audios are from Radha Damodar temple of 1971 time. And 1971, 1972, these were the 2 years when Prabhupada came. In 1972, he spoke on Nectar of Devotion. And look at Prabhupada's attachment to Sri Vṛndāvana Dham. He started his mission in Vṛndāvana and he wanted to end his earthly pastimes in Vṛndāvana. It was this day in 1977 when Srila Prabhupada decided to go back home, back to Godhead, winding up his earthly pastimes. Being satisfied with all the missionary activities done, Prabhupada was there in that room, which is still there, Prabhupada's room in Vṛndāvana, on that auspicious divine bed. Satisfied with all the missionary activities done, satisfied with the instructions given to his disciples. So 14th November 1977, evening around 7 o'clock, Prabhupada ascended back home, back to Godhead. Can you imagine? Only for us, Prabhupada left his divine transcendental body, which has been given samadhi in Vṛndāvana, only for us so that we can go and take darshan of Prabhupada and talk to him personally. But then this does not mean that Prabhupada is not there. Prabhupada left this mortal world, but he always remained in his instructions, and those instructions are given in his books. Therefore, those devotees who scrutinizingly study Srila Prabhupada's books, they are the ones who can always stay in touch with Srila Prabhupada. Those devotees who just jump and dance saying Jai Prabhupada might not be in touch with Srila Prabhupada. We're just jumping and dancing and saying Jai Prabhupada once in a while. That will not help. Because Prabhupada expected us to read his books, imbibe the instructions that he has given, and Prabhupada expected us to become pure devotees. Because he is very sure that by following his instructions given in his books, not even lectures, he's talking about books. Books are first, then comes lectures. After that comes rest, room conversations, letters, etc. First are books. Because these books which Prabhupada has written, sitting in Radha Damodar temple and other places, and which are those other places, ISKCON temples later. He filled all these books with all that is needed for every devotee to make their way back home, back to Godhead. To be more precise, make their way into eternal service of Krishna. The only thing that is needed is to dive deep into these books, and we will see gems. And all those who read Srila Prabhupada's books scrutinizingly, they can see that Prabhupada is personally talking to them and helping them to advance in Krishna consciousness. It's just a matter of scrutinizingly studying Srila Prabhupada's books. So on this auspicious day of Prabhupada's disappearance, let's recommit ourselves to all the vows that we have taken. The basic vows of 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds, not maximum. Minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beats. Following the 4 regulative principles of no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. Taking the vow of never to leave ISKCON. And having this conviction in the heart that I want to assist Srila Prabhupada in the mission. And praying to Srila Prabhupada. Ekakiya mar nahi paya bala harinama sankirtane. Tumhi kripa kori shraddha bindu diya deho Krishna namadhane. Prabhupada, it's actually very difficult to follow all those necessary instructions to become a pure devotee. It's not easy. But Prabhupada, by your mercy, if you empower, then I'll get some strength. And the faith that you have, if you can give me a particle of faith in the holy name, my life will be successful. My life will be completely successful. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dete par, tomara shakati ache. Amito kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, dhai tab pache pache. So you have Krishna and you can give me Krishna. Without your mercy, I can never advance in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.